Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today I'm going to be, I think the term is self-flagellating myself by watching Bricky's review of Destiny 2's Lightfall. I really loved Destiny 2, is what I would like to say, except I played Destiny 1 before that, and I saw how good that was, and then Curse of Osiris. If you don't understand what I'm saying, if you think these are just random words, oh, I am so jealous, you sweet summer child. You have no idea the depths that I have gone to try and forget this, but I'm just going to self-flagellate myself because I'm bringing that word back by reopening all of these scabs and diving into Bricky. Probably suffering because I don't want to do this myself by downloading the game again. I'm out. I'm safe. I'm good. It can't hurt me anymore. And this entire video is not going to be me proving otherwise.
And let's talk about Lightfall. Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, currently saying, well, it's no Titanfall 2. Every time I use the strand grapple. One day I said to my stream, which of...
That hurts. Everything he just said hurts. Not because it's about Destiny 2, but because it's just reminding me Titanfall 2 had one of the absolute best single-player games ever, and that's kind of the extent of it. Their PvP wasn't that great, but they decided to double down on that instead of making a sequel, or I guess a trequel, making a trilogy, because apparently there's a first-hand version that I never played. And then they made Apex instead, which is apparently set in the same universe. So the part I love the most was ignored. Seriously, it was an amazing game. I would play the single-player game over and over again because it was freaking amazing. And this is just making it worse because he's reminding me of something I loved that was great before jumping into something I know is going to be not. Just make it a little worse by comparison here.
These three things are true. Is gaming just feeling a bit poor lately? Like, not bad, but between Callisto Protocol, Forspoken, Hogwarts, Atomic Heart, everything is just, it just looked a bit mid, and I haven't really wanted to get into it. 2, is Destiny actually getting pretty good? Have we reached a point where the meme of the game being bad is no longer, it's not even worth spouting anymore?
Destiny 2, wait, it's all level grinding and leveling? It's all grinding and leveling. Always has been. I mean, kinda. I think I liked it better when it was artifacts reflecting your level rather than just straight up levels.
Or 3, am I just down bad? Does Destiny
probably
just have its hooks in me and scraping across my chest to an extent that I just can't pull myself away?
Yes, and it's not just you. Yep.
Am I stuck in the gorilla grip of Callus and the Cabusi? We came to the conclusion that it was a bit of all three. A conclusion that came just in time for the launch of the newest major expansion, the Destiny franchise, Lightfall. There was a weight on the shoulders of Lightfall, though. The Witch Queen was the best campaign Destiny has ever had. And no, I will not hear otherwise. It is...
It was interesting. I still think it was better in Destiny 1 when you had Oryx's intro. It was just a better reception, and it came from a place that was admittedly even worse reviewed. This was good. I might be heavily biased because I could actually do the raid in Destiny 1 because I had other people I played with. And in Destiny 2, everyone who I played with had already quit the game, so it was literally just a bunch of randoms who never actually knew what they were doing. And when me, who has no idea what they're doing and somehow turned out to be the competent one, that was never a good sign. Yeah.
The strongest in almost every single category, and nothing else comes even close. Not Taken King, not Forsaken, nothing. And those...
Forsaken was okay. I mean, the entire Death of Cade thing was a thing, but it wasn't badly done. But I would definitely say I think Taken King still hit better because it really went hard in a time when you never expected it to go hard.
Those are some pretty big shoes to fill. Shoes that the Witness, the newest big bad of Destiny, are attempting to steal. So our campaign starts off where the end of the season's left off from with Witch Queen. The Witness is this megamind looking thing who is attempting to our understanding, destroy the Traveler. Now, our Traveler, having left our orbit and is now confronted by the Pyramid ships attempting to hold it at bay. And this opening cutscene is pretty good. The Traveler finally does something, shoots a giant beam of...
Also, just to clarify, I'm not seeing this ever before. This is new to me. So this is cool looking. It really does just look like a giant ghost.
Life, so to speak, at various ships, but big Witness with a flick of his wrist, just murders all of our defenses and discovers an important artifact called the Veil on Neptune. Our Guardian is now tasked with dealing with it. Boarding one of the ships, we make our way to...
So we just randomly go to the Traveler acting and losing by throwing life at someone who kills it, and then he discovers something and... This is the plot line? I mean, it's not bad, but it just kind of feels like anyone who should be able to do this already is just not for plot reasons, which I guess is a gameplay trope and fine, but... Sure, whatever, it's the basic Bethesda formula. I know this is made by Bungie. I stand by what I said.
Neptune, and in Destiny fashion, the game still looks incredible. If there's one
really
thing
does.
Bungie will always get right,
that's
it's
so
just
cool.
the skyboxes. They have some way of making things look so big and real. Just mission 1, jumping across space on asteroids. It's so pretty. And look, it's our boy.
Oh, is that you, my tenacious guardian? What do you think of my shadow?
Looks like a key.
Revel in these hollow victories. I want you in the best of spirits when we meet in the arena.
In place of Savathun, our main physical bad guy, you know, the one we actually get to fight, is Callus, ex-emperor of the Cabal. Callus, you might remember if you were...
Really? I heard he was in this. That guy's the villain? Seems odd. Okay.
D2 veteran as the main raid boss on the Leviathan, kinda. But he's been
we got to fight the robot chicken
many times throughout the story. And he's an absolute top G, all right? I am a certified Callus simp, okay? Callus, my beloved. He has given himself over to the Witness as the new disciple. Rulk being the first disciple, the raid boss of the Witch Queen. Now we have...
I've heard of that guy, and the storyline, everything looked for that was so cool. Which is why everything I heard about this kind of hurt more.
Our boy, and oh my God. Look at his drip.
He even has the same headpiece. I mean, yeah, it's over the top for him. You can see exactly what's going on. But that headpiece looks incredibly... Is it actually the same headpiece as Rulk? Oh, God, that was actually a picture of him. He looks dumber with a helmet.
His hair, whack. His gear, whack. His jewelry, whack. His footsteps, whack.
God damn, does he look ugly, but in like that beautiful way.
He looks like someone who is intentionally gaudy because they love showing off their wealth more than they actually love the wealth. Although, for his case, I think he loves the wealth as much as anything else. Unless they change his character.
Kind of ugly that people with no taste,
yes,
lots of money have. Like
yes,
Andrew Tate ugly. Just a complete lack of style.
I love everything about this even more now. He does basically give off big Andrew Tate energy. Oh, fuck that guy.
But the ability to buy everything, it fits him perfectly. And even he agrees.
My semblance matches my inner beauty.
So the story plays out like this. The Witness is looking for a very important artifact called the Veil. While they have a stare down with the Traveler for... I guess possibly days in real time, Callus, the disciple, is sent to gather the Veil for whatever nefarious purpose the Witness has for it. This Veil is on Neptune and in a city never before seen by us, the Guardians on Earth, called Neo-Muna. Guarding the city are Cloud Striders, enormous himbo stereotypes that love chrome as much as they love getting shot in the ribs. Now this is the major objective of the campaign. Find this thing called the Veil before the Witness and Callus can take it to probably kill the Traveler. Protect the citizens of Neo-Muna, which are all basically...
Why do they need to kill the Traveler? Because it looked like he was already doing a good job of that as it was. Plot reason, just leave it to plot.
Uploaded into the metaverse and turned into human NFTs and, you know, not die in the process.
Wait, what? Live virtual. And they're slumbering bodies?
The metaverse and turned into human NFTs and, you know, not die in the process.
Oh.
Be there soon. Stay frosty, Tyrion.
Stay frosty, Terrans. Now, venturing out into the...
I'm pretty sure that's a meme. But I don't know where Stay Frosty came from. And it's actually bugging me because I know I've heard this before. This is going to bug me. because I know I've heard that. It's going to be obvious, and I'm going to kick myself. But I'm pulling an absolute blank on this one. I don't. So basically, also, they uploaded their entire citizenry digitally so that they could just be put into sleeping bodies when they get back. I guess that's one way not to have to deal with pedestrians.
This new place is where we start to get into the good of this DLC. Neomuna is absolutely gorgeous.
That looks cool.
As a play space.
Is it empty?
It is dripping in atmosphere, has a great vibrant color palette, and for the most part feels decently dense when it comes to enemy activity. Nothing quite tops the visual ecstasy of the Throne World, but that's the
I kind of didn't like the Throne World. It looked very empty and boring. You see it a few times, it's like, cool, and then you come back and it's like, it's very pale and not really interesting. Personal opinion.
Is a bit lacking on enemy density. Neomuna is just amazing to run around in from a combat point of view.
So
I'm very pleased that most of the campaign missions take place there. Now, I played the campaign on Legendary and Solo, and for me, the Witch Queen was so much harder than Lightfall, and I have zero consistency with that opinion.
I'm not sure I did Legendary, but I did Solo, and as someone who was so underleveled, they were using the, let's call it, the Mercy gear the entire way. I managed to beat the game solo. But that was on normal. I didn't try Legendary for the same reason I just mentioned. If this is easier, that's not horrible, but I guess the people who really grind hard would not like that as much.
Some say it's easier, some say it's harder, some say the porridge is just right. But for me, I had Quicksilver Storm, a target locked 4th times enhanced retrofit escapade, and Actium War Rig.
Dude, I have no idea what that means.
Everything died.
Are machine guns good again? Oh, Titans,
retrofit escapade, my beloveds. And when I wasn't using that, we had the new Loreley's ornament because...
Okay, admittedly, that looks freaking amazing. Titans had the best trip, man.
Apparently, during the Strand sections, I still got the restoration, despite having Strand, quite often, because we had faster recharge times, too.
Oh, you son of a bitch. So even though it glitched to give you access to too much power. Oh, that sounds... Because it's not actually equipping it, it's just letting you act as if you have it equipped, so it kept up some of the aspects. Oh.
Big Pog. Anyway, our missions mainly consisted of fighting the new Shadow Legion Cabal, which is basically normal Cabal with Strand shields and funky backpacks that give AoE shields to their comrades, much like the Moths and the Witch Queen, just AoE instead. For the most part, the enemy variety was the same, with the addition of one brand new enemy. The Tormentor. The Tormentor is absolutely ballin'. They're caballin'.
I am someone who appreciates a good pun, and I will get jealous when someone makes a pun that I really wish I had made, because it pisses me off that they had such a great one. So take a full understanding what it means when I say I'm not jealous of this one.
Hello, everybody. They are a darkness-type Reaper that has this huge moveset, does a ton of damage, goes fast, and genuinely is a great threat in a fight. Throwing purple projectiles, making a portal of purple stuff, spitting out damage, a grab move, suppression, and that insane dive bomb attack. Man, Tormentors are so fun. When I think of a good enemy design, I will always go back to Mass Effect 3. And these boys remind me...
Oh, those guys. The freaking Banshees. Oh. Corrupted. Those things gave me such a hard time when I first found them. It's like, what are these? Oh, God.
Of the Banshees so much. Supplemental range damage are way faster than they look, are way tankier than they look,
slow, and then they're not anymore.
As far away from them at all times. It's an adrenaline rush having to run away from one of these things, yelling, "Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me, keep away from my little butthole." That Tormentor's coming for your butthole. He's gonna do it. And you know what? That's awesome. And they're used pretty sparingly too, because the issue with these kinds of enemies mainly come around to when they're spammed. There aren't really enough enemies that force us on the back foot. Most enemies are kind of slow advancing types or the fire from range type. There really aren't a whole lot of break you from cover type enemies that are utilized, at least not in a meaningful way. Normally, the ones that do are like fodder enemies, dogs, vandals, gladiators, thralls, things like that. This enemy demands respect and adjusts the way you play the game, and I really like that. It makes me...
So far, I mean, we're about the first 10 minutes in, and this hasn't been horrible. I'm kind of liking this. I like the design. I like some of the skyboxes. I mean, Neo Muna seems like a plot hole in general, but I'm just ignoring it because it's not worth my time at this point. But it seems like there's cool enemy designs. It's a cool world box. There's a lot of enemies to jump in. But I've heard just enough about this that I know this can't last forever. Also, because the new spoilers for the final shape is they have a new class, which is every class in one. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be fine.
We hope that it'll be around for more encounters, but like with the Lucent Hive,
when we get to the
I probably
downside.
won't actually expect that to happen. So,
I
throughout
actually
the
forgot about the
campaign,
Lucent Hive
our
already.
Guardian is being given Strand, this brand new subclass utilizing the fabric of souls, basically. The river of souls being tapped into. It's a confusing and unknowable energy, but it's something that the Cloud Striders have like a mythology for. It's also a type of energy that Callus and his forces are not prepared for. So whenever they have ways of shutting off your light, whether through jammers or other variants, you can utilize Strand to stop them, which is very strange because the enemies of the Shadow Legion have Strand shields, which I know is just a gameplay thing, but you know, still. And
Yeah.
okay, I delayed talking about the campaign for long enough now because there's nothing to talk about. The campaign's experience is basically a bunch of preventative busy work thrown together with a final end boss and some cutscenes in between. Because when I...
Oh, they... So they basically House of Wolves this. It's not actually the important DLC, even though it was supposed to be, and how it felt when it was being marketed, it looked like that. They gave you a bunch of filler activities, generic that you've done a million times, but with a slightly new skybox, and honestly only one new enemy. This is just a reskinning of enemies we've already fought before. And then you get cutscenes in between, and honestly, their cutscene looked good this time around, at least at the beginning. I had no idea if it mattered, and it seemed kind of weird, but okay.
Make videos on like certain campaigns, the Modern Warfare 2 one, right? I go talking through the whole campaign, like we talk about the whole story, that whole thing.
I still need to play that one. I never actually
There's
did it.
really not much to talk about. Most of the campaign involves Strand and the Cloud Striders of Neo Muna, discovering what Strand is, how to utilize Strand, and teaching you more and more about the subclass. The Cloud Strider stuff is keeping the people safe from Cabal attacks, Vex incursions, and more things mostly unrelated to the actual Veil artifact and the Witness's plans for the Traveler. Because the entire campaign is the Witness and Callus want the Veil, right? They need the Veil.
What is
we
the
need
Veil?
to protect
Why do
the
they want
Veil
it?
to stop them from getting the Veil, to use the Veil to do a thing that we don't know what.
Ah, this is one of those cases where the Veil is a MacGuffin that means nothing at the end, huh?
It is, but it's the Witness, so it must be bad. Also, my name is Osiris, and I am the whiniest little baby bitch person you ever heard for an entirety of this campaign. Ooh.
I remember when he was in Destiny 1 as like just the person you've heard about only, and it was so built up, and then... Yeah. Yeah. We're getting to the part I knew would happen. At least we went 10 minutes without having the pain. Bring it.
Ooh, this campaign is going to be compared a lot to the Witch Queen, like excessively to the Witch Queen. And anyone who thinks that comparison is unfair is a fool,
right after
a
it.
foolish fool with their foolishly fooled jork pants making them a fool. I have heard talks that this campaign shouldn't be compared, as is a filler story before the final shape, which is just a buck wild claim, considering it costs the exact same amount as the Witch Queen and is therefore...
I mean, technically, it costs more than the entire game to buy initially now, because they made it free to play. It's a horrible free-to-play experience. I've seen how that works. It's one of the reasons I wanted to not really engage with this as much in videos, because it just... Bungie's management decision-making policies have seemed, let's go with counterproductive.
Therefore, under the exact same scrutiny from a price to quality product comparison. I didn't do a great job saying those words.
You could pre-order it for $100. 100 plus with tax and some of the other incentives on there. And it looks like it was literally filler for $100. If this was a $20 DLC, I'd be like, okay, kind of sucks. But I'll live. I don't like it, but it sucks. This, sorry, I like the campaigns. I liked running in and seeing some of the craziness. The story sometimes was good, sometimes wasn't, but it was always fun to play, but it's always been the exact same thing. This video is hurting me again. I knew that was happening. It already started, but it's just that little reminder. Because it's not just the new paint, it's all the old ones. The first video I did that ever went anywhere close to viral was in Destiny 2. No, actually, it was Destiny 1, making a solo run attempt where someone challenged me to do it, and I knew I'd fail, but I just want to see how far I could get before I inevitably died. And it was fun, and I hated it. But at the same time, it was like a fun in hindsight deal. And now we're doing this. It's just like, hey, remember that thing you loved? Here's what it looks like now. Feel old yet?
Words out loud right there, but I got my point across, and that's all that matters. So if we roll back a little bit, Witch Queen wise, each mission had a point because the game was investigative. The theme Savathun and her brood presented was that of a detective mystery. All of the pieces are there, right? You have Ikora as the boss sending you out on the case. And then you have the investigative board. You even have all the weapon names like empirical evidence, likely suspect, forensic nightmare. And you even have Finch, who plays the young go-getter who is way over their head but wants to help. It even has the archetype that he's injured from the original scuffle with the bad guy. Just instead of an arm in a sling, he's missing a mandible on his shell. So each mission at least felt purposeful. Sure, there were some that were a little fillery, but you were on
some. I'll be honest, it's probably one of the reasons I like Taken King more, because we were exploring something truly unique at the time, as opposed to this, which was, it's just a generic location that has some really cool architecture that you kind of get around and start ignoring pretty soon, because they all kind of felt samey. Until you actually explore it out of bounds to find some of the unique treasures, which were really cool. But as soon as you find them, then that was kind of it. I like the exploring aspects. It's one of the things I loved about Taken King. There was so much to explore and find. I hate the timing bits, though, but details. So I kind of thought a lot of this was just fetch questy. Some weren't, but some very much were.
On a trail of leads to unravel how in the ever-loving fuck Savathun got the light of the Traveler, which culminated in a genuinely fantastic reveal.
Yeah, this part was
that
amazing.
She didn't steal shit. The Traveler gave it to her willingly. There was a real quest, a real curiosity, a case, something to actually discover, a twist, a real answer to your questions. All
just reminding me of all the things that I wasn't expecting to be so compelling, or to find an enemy who actually got something, or just like everything about the story, when it really went full on cutscene, when they really dove into it, was freaking cool, man. And I liked this. I remember thinking like, okay, we beat the boss. Now we get to find a cutscene of, oh, hey, here's how they did the thing that is my entire thought process for the Witch Queen twist ending. And it was good. It wasn't a Shyamalan twist. It was like, oh my God, this is useless. I know what I said. I'm standing by it. But this was good, and I'm assuming there's nothing like that here.
All capped off with an extremely challenging endgame boss
fight. She was
fight,
difficult, especially
and a
on your own.
cutscene showing the architect of everything terrible, the Witness. Not only
he
did
still
the story
seemed
end on a note of excitement for the future, but it was self-contained. The Savathun story was complete. The story beats were satisfying, and with the Witness reveal, it helped tell us a ton about the lore of Destiny.
Did it? Honestly, it seemed kind of like an ass pull as soon as he came out. The boss was amazing, though. Rauk. He was cool.
Oh, light and dark aren't good
videos
and
about
evil.
that from Evan.
They are powers. The Witness was the cause of the original collapse. They wield darkness as a weapon. The Witness is an evil person. Savathun wielded the light, and though this might be somewhat debatable, was the major evil villain, just using light instead of dark. The story concluded well. The questions we
I mean, I get what they're saying there, and I do understand why he says debatable for anyone who hasn't played the Witch Queen. It's that she wasn't really evil in this one. She's flailing around because she doesn't have her memories, and she's tricking us into giving them back the entire time. Yeah, that's actually it. That's the meta narrative that you don't know about, but you find out later, and it actually makes a lot of sense. It's why you're trying to discover what she was thinking, because she's stealing it from you while you go. And then a bunch of other things happened before this in seasonal content that you can never actually play unless you were there at the time. So it's kind of just lost media. Unless you watch someone's video. But honestly, they're all kind of spastic and no one really condenses it because you either had it at the time or you don't. So makes it very hard to record and kind of annoying because you just come in and it's like, hey, you missed shit and you're never getting it. But you paid for it. This season model is a piece of shit.
We had were answered, and the new questions posed were intriguing and not frustrating. Lightfall contains none of these aspects. The story is about stopping the Witness and Callus from utilizing the Veil. What is the Veil? I don't fucking know.
So they
never tell you. They yell at you over and over again about the importance of the Veil. Gotta get the Veil. Gotta make sure they don't get the Veil. Don't let them get the Veil. They don't tell you what the Veil is.
This doesn't feel right. The Veil? Metal. Gear.
Nobody knows what the Veil is. And they keep yelling at you, oh, we can't let them get that Veil.
So it literally is just a MacGuffin. I was really hoping it would be interesting. Sorry. Boring, empty MacGuffins are only so useful so often. It's just a ripoff of Lord of the Ring. Don't let them get the ring. At least in that one, there was a good reason because this is what happens when they get it. And here's the times where they had it. All this shit happened. A lot of stories don't do it as well. This is one. When it comes to narratives, I am a lot less enjoying of things that are half-assed. And this is... yeah.
Rohan, one of the Cloud Striders, voiced by Dave Vinoy, I think, also known as Lee in Telltale The Walking Dead, is killed off halfway through the story before he even gets any genuine time to shine.
Seriously?
Halfway through, 3 hours basically, on the hard difficulty, he sacrifices himself to stop the radial mast. What's the radial mast? Not a sex position apparently, but it's an artifact from Callus that is also not explained. So this whole time we have excellent VA Dave Fenoy playing this new Cloud Strider character, telling us to get the Veil that we don't know what it does, and then stops and kills himself to stop the radial mast that we don't know what it does. You kill that level of talent that fast. So then you're stuck with Nimbus and Osiris, and by God, they are not it. They are just flat out not it.
How bad are we talking?
That's come at us, you're just like, oh, bam, pew, pew, ow.
Also, you named them Nimbus. You know what you've done. I call
Cloud Striders, Nimbus. They have a cumulonimbus cloud in the background when he's being viewed. He's an airhead apparently, and it's literally Destiny 1 levels of that wizard came from the moon dialogue. Maybe it's just a bad clip he chose. Maybe there's better points. I don't think there's gonna be better points.
Called them Nimbusi the entire goddamn game. I couldn't help it.
Oh God,
that one's on you. In Witch Queen, you had
did not go there.
That's
not what I expected.
Making up the dialogue for your campaign. While I know not everyone loved Finch, I did. He brought a great deal of serious humor, so to speak. The humor wasn't him cracking jokes. It was just the situation he was in and how out of his element he was. Also, I think his VA is actually really stellar, and he sells the role quite well. Ikora is a little bit bland as a character, but she still is a pretty good voice, and I will always have a soft spot for her from Firefly. This time around, the two main characters are Nimbus and Osiris, and I think they both fall short for two different reasons. Now, Nimbus is, I think, the first non-binary character in Destiny, and that right there fucking awesome. While LGBT and trans characters are becoming a bit more prevalent as well in games media, I can only think of one other non-binary character right now, which is Bloodhound in Apex Legends. So for that, I am super—
That was a human? Honestly, I would have sworn that was a robot. Sorry, it was the full covering. I literally thought it was a robot every time I saw pictures of them. Huh.
super stoked, which is why it kills me to say that I absolutely despise Nimbus. They are a picture-perfect example of everything wrong with Marvel movie humor. They attempt to make quips and jokes all the time, and it always comes off as extremely forced or downright unacceptable. Like when—
Also, why are they looking at everything but you when they're talking? Maybe it's just
they
me.
joked on how ugly Callus was after his boss fight. So, you know, Callus right now, spoilers, is dead. And they say this right in front of their fucking daughter.
The uglier they are, the harder they fall.
I think I realize what I don't like about this. The eyes seem like they get wider because of the light in them. But it looks almost like the eye is going beyond the eyelid. It's like the actual bone is moving. That's a very odd effect.
Right? No? Come on.
How is that signed off on? How are you gonna do that to my boy? You're gonna call peak male performance ugly from the Cloud Strider with the ribcage window? Often there are two reasons a character fails from a voice acting perspective. One is that the voice actor isn't doing a very good job, or two, their script is just terrible.
I'm going to say, having listened to some of the other parts about any Destiny script, I know which one I believe this is. Yeah, that wizard came from the moon. There are other lines that show that they like to write dialogue when they have no idea what the dialogue means, because they haven't got that far and they assume they'll figure it out later. Spoilers, they never do. Or when they think of something, it's stupid or handled badly.
Nimbus, it's their script being terrible. There are times where they actually sound pretty solid, even though I'm not a huge fan of the strange audio alterations to their voice. But overall, there are moments where Nimbus is giving a pretty good performance. But they do so many things, so many jokes and quips that give me secondhand embarrassment to even look at it. And I hate it.
Well, if you drop us, it might be my funeral, but whatever, it'll be fun.
Osiris, on the other hand, I just don't think is very—
Oh, I see what they were trying. They were trying to go for a Cade character again, but it's not Cade because Nathan Fillion has a really good way to just sell characters who are quippy and Han Solo-esque, in the same way that Will Smith did before he decided he needed to act in every way he was not equipped to do. I'm looking at you, After Earth.
very good. I don't like saying this. I don't like pointing to someone specifically and saying you did a bad job, but I just don't think Osiris'
it's even a curse
work was very good at
Osiris.
all, and I don't think it was his script. He had terrible line delivery consistently. Now, this is a theory. But Bungie mentioned that they have gone almost entirely remote, which in its own right isn't bad at all. Honestly, preferable in a lot of ways. But I don't 100% know if this extended to the voice actors too, because having multiple voice actors in the same room to read lines after each other gives conversations a sense of flow, lets you understand tone, right?
Because a lot of conversation is not actually the vocal aspect. It's having hand gestures, facial expressions, all of those little things that your mind just notices and filters out because it's how we interpret someone's intention on top of what they're saying. It's like saying the difference between I love this or I love this. It has a lot of different meaning. And when you see that little clip, it really does change it. So you can actually flow off someone better because not only do you see how they're doing it, but you can see when they're stopping so you can continue your line. And I know some places record like that. I don't know if it's everyone, though, so I can't say if that's normal or not.
Right now, every single one of Osiris's lines sounds like it was read after reading a script that says, Ghost says X line in an upset tone. Your line is blank. There's no flow. Like,
so they might have just read for the first time.
From each other. It feels like it lacks cohesion.
The perspective shift was all we were missing.
Do not underestimate this moment. This is the product of humbling training, many failures, and your determination. I'll do whatever it takes to stop the witness. So
I see what he means. This is flat. This is in... Oh... I think I realized why it sounds like he phoned this in, considering they're all remote. I'm wondering if Lance Reddick was supposed to be the actor who was handling this. This was supposed to be a Zavala-centered mission. Oh, I don't know how long they were working on it, but this seems like he's getting lines sent in at the last moment. And my entire thought process is, Osiris saying, I will do whatever it takes to stop the witness. Feels like he's trying to Shatner it without the over-the-top funniness of Shatner. But if I just heard that in Lance Reddick's voice going, Guardian, I will do anything it takes to stop the witness. Also, you can see I cannot do an impression of Zavala well. But you can hear in his voice, he has a very distinct, very evocative way of speaking that you just hear. It's like, okay, yeah, it seems like someone who's just like hard man making hard decisions, and he's willing to fuck it up if it means that he has to get it done. And while that always doesn't play well and makes his character one-dimensional, but he got better and he was good and iconic in the class, and his actor died. I'm wondering if this is added in because the person they brought in initially can't. If anyone knows more about the timing on this one, for all I know, maybe that wasn't the first choice. Maybe it was always like this and the actor just phoned it in. Maybe literally. Or just did a reading and they just captured his audio and just said, okay, it's good enough. No one's playing this anyways. The only thing I can say is every time I hear these lines, it sounds like something Lance Reddick with his gravitas would kill. Even if it's a bad line, it's like when you give Will Smith in the 90s a line that was super stupid. He would make it charming because that's what he was exquisitely good at. This is not the case here, but it sounds like it could have been with someone else doing it.
So if you aren't going to help me, then leave me alone.
We regroup at the watchtower.
You don't understand. We've got to get to the Veil.
Will help push back Hallis's advances.
We've done nothing but waste time.
Another example.
Really? That's where he gets angry? Honestly, that, especially with Saint, that's like the one person he shouldn't get angry at. Oh, hey, look, it's broken up again.
Example to this point would be when Saint 14 and Shax have that dialogue in the previous season way back when. That's probably the best example of that lack of cohesion I can think about.
Warlord Shax, as I live and breathe.
Saint 14? I thought you were dead.
Brother, I have always hated you.
The fuck?
It doesn't sound like these people, particularly Shax in that one, sound...
Especially since Shax is so good at overacting. That's just weird. I don't like it. I really don't like it.
Sounds like he's talking to someone else. It sounds like he's talking.
So it wasn't even just
he's
him.
guessing exactly how Saint was talking. It feels so segmented. It falls just so flat.
Audio,
Not to mention just how whiny he was the entire story. I get it. Sagira's dead. It's very sad, but oh my God. There's probably a word to describe this like disassociation with voice acting that I don't know about because I'm just not that smart, but I hope I can at least have you understand what I'm trying to get at. Also, moving back to the game, there just feels like there's no stakes, zero risk in Destiny. Why won't any characters actually die? Actual characters, not Mr. Lee from The Walking Dead after 2.5 to 3 hours of gameplay. Why aren't you killing anyone actual off?
The one time they did that it made sense was when they killed off the funny man to show this is a new tone. Everything changes. This is why Forsaken actually stood up. This was a straight up story for revenge. There was a lot of cool exploration, discovery, and mystery and intrigue. But you're there because you want to fuck up the Crow on this one. And then apparently seasonal events happened where he wasn't the villain anymore and he came back to life. And I missed that. Apparently it happened when I didn't play seasonal content. And that's just fine. Even though you're charged for it, you can never actually replay it, and you just gotta say, oh, it happened, moving on. I might be holding a grudge. Who'd have thought?
Was ever in danger really, this entire campaign. It was the Neomuna people and 2 Cloud Striders we barely knew. Like,
And
there's
half
no
of them
tension,
died.
there's no worry, there's nothing. You know what the best part of this campaign was? My boy Callus, baby! Callus has that setup. He was the first raid boss. He was around in multiple seasons, came to a head in Season of the Haunted.
Okay, that earlier pun, that was bad. This one right now, he said he came to a head and just show where he's literally just ahead is his description. Okay. That's a good one. I'm jealous of that one.
Got a whole dungeon about him in Duality, and bam, he's there with his inner beauty as a disciple of the Witness, and he kills it, man. His voice acting is amazing, miles above
at least a good
every
fight to
single
give him
other one of the
gravitas?
cast.
Or
He
you
is
just kinda
just
get
a joy to
put on the
have
side?
around every single time he's on screen.
That fear is your failure. My failure? My failure? I have fed this force with vicious subjugation, battered down the gates of our enemies, and seized our glittering prize. Why? Because I wanted it. You hold the universe in your grasp, and all you can think of to do with it is secure the veil. We will create the link. Infinite apologies. The veil is yours.
He's so good. So you can imagine my
Okay, that was such a cool image. I see why he likes Callus. He just showed up the entire arrogance, and he did more to build up the Witness there than any other scene I've seen. You can see he's literally leaking from the pressure on him. Oh.
So you can imagine my disappointment when we get one of the best gameplay segments in the Destiny campaign, where you and Keitel slaughter Callus's reinforcements and hold off wave after wave of Shadow Legion tanks, troops, and tormentors abound. This long holdout wave defense type mission that really makes me feel like we should have a wave defense mode in this game. Just
Wait, they haven't added one in yet? I thought they were playing around and adding things. That actually sounds fun. Why haven't they? Because Bungie doesn't take risks anymore. And I think they're just doing the usual Sony acquisition route.
Just gotta say, this monumental battle, the most enemies I have ever seen on screen at one time, tons of strand usage, orbital lasers, everything.
Oh, you actually get to use all that?
Callus face in the sky, Keitel with their big hammer.
Oh, she actually had
ready
to fight with
duke it
you.
out. And I'm on cloud 9, right? I got this high of excitement. And then it's time for that big final boss, and you make your way down to the bottom area by the Veil, and you fight Callus, and he's just a big Colossus.
Really?
No new moves like Savathun, no different abilities, no special mechanics. He just reuses that caretaker thing. He's a Colossus. This was
So we get a Prisons of Elder mini boss. Yeah, you can see exactly where the money ran out, because it seems like decisions were made that way.
supposed to be our shining moment. Callus testing our guardian for genuine years through challenges, through petty squabbles. All of this training and bravado between us, and the end result is a surprisingly easy Colossus fight, and then a second phase where he's just a normal ass gladiator. I was playing on Legendary Solo, and I did this first try, no deaths. I even killed him using Rulk's glaive, just for the meme. The first disciple's signature weapon, killing the most recent disciple. A big Colossus.
Wait, what did that say? All I feel is pain. Yeah, that seems like the right way to look at this one.
A big Colossus and then a big gladiator killed first try. And now Callus is dead. Genuinely gone.
Grown over with strands of darkness? I have no idea. Wonder if he comes back. Things coming back from the dead happen all the time.
My boy, my beloveds. I lost one of my favorite characters in such an unsatisfying way. Speaking of unsatisfying, our ghost gets grabbed by the witness and creates the link. Which I still don't know what that means with the veil. that I don't know what that is. They get blasted by a ray of rainbow light, make a gigantic triangle in the trap.
Oh yeah, they literally made the Traveler into a ghost. I'm pretty sure this design is even one of the freaking looks for a ghost shell. Oh my god.
Traveler, and then them and their ships fuck off inside of it. And then it ends.
That's it?
And that's it. What is the veil? You aren't told. Where did the witness go? We don't know. What did they do? I have no idea.
The Traveler is gone.
Why did it matter?
No, it isn't. It's literally right there.
The Traveler. Gone. Should I feel humbled by this sacrifice?
How do you know
that? Is it a sacrifice?
It's sacrifice? It's still there. How do you know things that I don't know? The ghost says, I can't feel its presence anymore. We still have our powers, motherfucker. We still have the light. We didn't lose anything. The Traveler hasn't done anything for a decade. Why do you think it's gone?
This was only a decade? Oh yeah, they do kind of have it running in real time. You kind of forget that, considering the story seems to take a day and forever.
It's right there. Do you mean like, oh, it's gone, like no longer at the tower, like no longer down on the surface of Earth? That happened at the end of last season. Not now. Why do you act like you know something I don't know? What the fuck happened? Is this like season 4 of Lost, for God's sake? The direct comparison I hear all the time is that this feels like the Infinity War of Destiny and final shape.
I would not call this Infinity War. Infinity War, you knew something was coming. This feels more like the Ant-Man of the MCU. Yeah, I know what I said. Ant-Man, the movie that if you completely missed it, probably makes you like it more.
Is the end game. It's even equipped with the gigantic brute monster villain clad in gold. But Infinity War, 1, had stakes, 2, explained what was happening, and 3, didn't leave me the feeling of absolute confusion. Thanos wants the Infinity Stones, but I know what those are. I know what they do.
That.
The Witness's end goal is...
It's like if they decided to invent the Infinity Stones midway through Infinity War, rather than every movie had them leading up as a main plot point, and you realize what they were, and they built up to it. They had entire plot lines, and everything around it was kind of dealing with those stones until it was finally spelled out by the end. But you knew what was going on. It looked like it wasn't just pulled out of their ass, and this was every step of the way. There's probably a lot of people who are not nearly invested in hating Destiny 2 as I am, and for them, nice. I'm jealous. But I have that type of rage right now. You get, when you've loved something and you just made it so much a part of your personality, and you spent hours and days and weeks playing this and enjoying the exploration, the little bits of grindiness of it. And then you look at what it became, and even though it's grown from Curse of Osiris, it kind of still feels like it's still there. And things like this just keep me thinking, oh yeah, they're Osirising it again. The fact that he's in here, and his acting seems to be a curse, is not helping matters.
What? What the hell did they do? The Veil, what is it? We know Thanos' end goal, kill half of the universe's population. We know what's at stake. And at the end, when he does do it, the question isn't, what did he do? The question is, how do we recover from this?
And honestly, they should probably, get around to the point where they showed that his plan worked, and most of the Earth was better off, and it was kind of more peaceful and happier when it was fucked up. And then everyone came back, and a lot of the general response was, kind of liked it better when it was emptier. Yeah! And then they just kind of talked about it, and the MCU is a mess right now. It's like they planned out the first decade of content, and then the second one is just being pulled out of their ass because they have no idea what the fuck they're doing, because no one expected to go beyond that point. But it's too big to stop now.
A genuinely good, intriguing question that you get excited for in the next one. I'm left frustrated, confused, and unfulfilled. The reason I'm excited for the final shape is not because I'm excited.
He's definitely going to bring up how they've delayed it multiple times, and I think they've changed out a good portion of their entire workforce at this time period. This came out a year... Oh, no, he might not be able to, because I think this happened within the last 8 months or 10 months, so maybe this happened after he made this video. Yeah, I know things have happened since he made this. Ooh. I might need to check to see if he's made a follow-up to this. but also I kind of don't want to know because I know it'll be bad.
For another Witch Queen level expansion, I'm excited to find out what in God's name happened in Lightfall, which is so disappointing that this is the taste in my mouth I'm left with. This is what I fixate on the most because it's the thing that feels so aggravating, the thing that stings the most. It's a sting that pulls my mind away from all the good things that Lightfall did. Because for the most part, story aside, Lightfall has some pretty great gameplay. I sung the praises of the Tormentors already, but Strand, oh, Strand is the best. Strand is just such a unique and enjoyable new concept in this game, and I can't stop enjoying myself with it. The builds you can create with it, the concepts and strategies, they feel so numerous. Flying.
So in other words, Bungie did what Bungie's really good at in making combat and just really solid gameplay. And failed at what Bungie historically is really bad at. Tying it together with a narrative that makes sense. The more detail they put into it, the less you realize, I like this. The more you realize, oh, they're winging it. They got the important part down, but then they fail at everything else, it seems.
Around with the grapple is amazing. The threadling builds and little seeker bug things are a ton of fun.
Ew.
Suspensions and the buffs and I adore Strand. Adore Strand. It'll probably ruin PvP like Stasis, but
pretty sure it did.
Hopefully not as bad as Stasis.
Yeah,
but
who
you know
plays
how it
PvP
is when
anymore?
a new class comes out. Neomuna is really pretty. It's a bit of an annoyance to traverse. Like, you really need that secondary spawn point because otherwise it's a pain to travel. But it's still really nice. It looks gorgeous. Has a lot of great environments. The lost sectors are really good. Has some of the better patrol locations. Not as good as the Throne World, but still good. The weapons are fun to use. I like a lot of the new perk rolls, and the Strain Tie weapons are pretty enjoyable. Quicksilver Storm is one of my favorite exotics. Now like a top 5. I love that gun.
Oh, wow.
Crafting system was toned down a lot. Its requirements, which is really good. And funny enough, Season of the
I gave up on crafting because, like, congratulations, you don't have enough, and you never will. So I stopped because I didn't need it, and no one cared.
Defiance has some amazing activities, not to mention how Cabalin that artwork is in the background. Bungo.
Okay, holy shit. What was... Yeah, no, I'm with him on that one. That is actually amazing. Damn.
Bungo. I know I just yelled at you for the last like 30 minutes, but please, for love of God, please release that artwork of Marasov knighting us. Please release that artwork like as a print or something. I buy that immediately. I would buy that in a heartbeat. And the quality of life updates might be the best part of the entire expansion. Probably Strand. Close second. The new changes are so immensely game-changing for someone like me who was somewhat understanding of build, but not quite there. The ability to create loadouts is such a welcome change. And the fact that...
Oh, you can actually just... Oh, they actually did that? That's a great option. Dude, most games can't even let you do that because it makes too much sense and it hides the fact that if you have to dig through it, it's more time spent playing through build options as opposed to streamlining it so you can figure out what's going on. That's amazing. That's an undeniably good thing. Again, it just seems like Bungie's a good company to bring in secondhand to make the bones of a game and leave all of the design to someone else. Not the lightbox, like the actual story design. That seems like someone they should just hire a company that specifically writes storylines and Bungie just builds a game around it. Actually, unironically, that sounds amazing. How come people don't actually have specifically dedicated storyline companies? Seems like the ultimate contract move where you don't want to pay for in-house writers, but you can hire some incredibly competent people to do it. And then just have gameplay built around it. It just seems like it'd be a good choice. You have a set dedicated expense. And then you take your built-in talent or just hire Bungie as a contractor, a second-party developer on this one to build the bones, and it works. Hell, I'm pretty sure that's how... not entirely how, but mostly how Nier Automata was done. They got the people from Bayonetta to make the gameplay while the story was full in Nier design. And it worked, and Square Enix happened to get a winner on that one that they weren't expecting. It was amazing.
It also determines your armor's ornaments, adds an even greater amount of freedom to it. Dude. Swapping builds on the fly is so easy, and I get to keep my drip too. It's a genuine game changer. The Guardian commendations, I love. End activity screen, great too. I like commendations in games as pretty well. I think they're actually a really nice addition. And the whole Guardian rank part 2, showing off a person's dedication to all the aspects of the game as opposed to how hard they've grinded this season, is great. The Journey tab is just clean. It's simple but effective. Build crafting 2 is something that I know is a bit divisive, but I personally like it. It definitely lowered the power a lot of people's builds, and it made it a bit too simplified overall, but hot take, I'm actually for that at the moment. Revamping the system itself in a way to change the foundational elements so new build ideas can be made in the future that aren't out of reach of more casual players sounds like a great idea to me. I'd take simplified and accessible over complicated and stronger. So
I have mixed feelings on that entire concept. On the one hand, simplified and accessible is good unless you oversimplify it, a la the beginning of Destiny 2, where everything was one size fits all, except it fit no one and it kind of sucked. Or the super complicated, super grindy, you have to go to this level and win with this team. You have one shot each week to try and do it, and if the piece doesn't drop, you can't get it, so you can't get the right load on it. But if you get the right power level, you have to keep that, try and get another piece that will have the right load. Basically, Destiny 1 bullshit when it came to leveling up. Cool strategy, terrible implementation. I kind of almost wish there was a middle ground where it's easy to get into, but has multiple varied tiers of what they can do in interactions that only become observant when you see how they interact as opposed to what they say down there. So accessible with depth once you find out about it. But those systems are incredibly hard to do, and it seems like, spoilers for the next season, that I have looked into and definitely not tempting me to get back into the game despite all of my pre-stated reasons why I don't want to. They're creating a rainbow, I'm paraphrasing, style class that is, you pick. It all works, everything. Not just here's all your classes combined from Warlock or Titan or anything. It's all of them. There's no more classes. It's the class of every class. You want to do a Titan slam while doing a Warlock Nova Bomb? Probably not, because those will probably be in the same slots. But you can switch between them on the same character. It's an MMO now. I mean, it already was, but there's less building and more, hey, what stuff is your character wearing? Because I want to look like a Titan today, but I think I might want to look like a Hunter tomorrow. Yeah. We'll see how it goes. It might be good, it might not be. I don't know yet.
So long as it can be built upon more in the future. A step back is fine if it means there are more steps forward that can be taken. See, a lot of this expansion feels like that Game of Thrones.
Lightfall combat, design, environment, quality of life changes, weapons. So the things that normally matter. The writing. Yeah, yeah. I care about the writing in story games. This isn't a story game, but it feels like so much of the actual game itself is predicated on the story itself. So that when that's the part that falls flat, you don't like it. If this is a quick, like, $20 game just with all of this and they copy and paste it a million times, it probably would work. This is, yeah.
Thrones badly drawn horse meme. In fact, that's exactly what I posted after finishing the campaign. It does leave a final question, like a final debate for Destiny, a debate that it has had for quite a while, and that's the debate of price. Lightfall is an expansion at $50 or the entire year for $100. Which queen?
Yep. Considering now games are being sold at the $70 level and another $30 for pre-early access, nothing to say here. Just immense disappointment in myself for pre-ordering this and realizing I didn't like it.
It was the same price if I recall correctly, and in that video I remember defending the game's price quite a bit. For the content you got, for the length of the campaign, the new additions, so on and so forth, it felt worth it. If you are one of those kinds of people who do the whole 1 hour per dollar of game time thing, I mean, you're completely fine. This whole next year will give you far more than 100 hours of gameplay.
Unless you're only playing the campaign, in which case it doesn't sound like you're going to get 50 hours out of this one.
Fall originally made me feel similar until I started to really look into what I have here. Like, the new location is nice, but I only got one strike. It revamped some old ones, but that's just bringing old ones back into line. There are some of the other things like exotic missions and new exotic quests, but those only fill in a certain few hours of time, some not even that long. But what really hurts was just no attention to everything else. Like, the Vanguard playlist is for new people, and to be fair, they don't really need to change it much, but I would have liked a little more of something. Throwing in prior seasonal activities like the Season of the Risen just doesn't feel like enough. Crucible is supposed to get 3 new maps, but that's—
I'm pretty sure in the time that this has been out, they've kind of just abandoned PvP entirely.
1 per season. So there's only 1 single new map right now. Not to mention the amount that keep getting removed from rotation. Like, there are a lot of maps that feel like they should be back in now. Gambit got nothing. No changes, no new maps, not even bringing back old maps. Where's that Dreaming City one? I love the Dreaming City map. I know this might also seem like a weird contention point, and most people might not care about this, but can you do something to Dares of Eternity? Can it get a couple updates too? We don't have a Fallen final boss or a Scorn final boss.
I'm pretty sure this is one of those early events to get new people into it that was too hard for new people to do initially, and there was drama around that. I remember hearing about this entire problem. It's such a cool idea that I think they just kind of gave up on because they tried something new and it didn't work, so they never tried to fix it because they were moving on to something new that isn't going to work. An endless mode sounds like it would be fun just to see the ranking of how far could you go compared to everyone else. If they just put up a leaderboard, they have an immediate PvE aspect that is amazing. This team went this far with this level of enemy versus where you're at. See how far you can get. And the top 10 will be displayed in the public sections. It's a stupid thing, but it would definitely make people no-life this.
Also, why are new enemies never added anywhere? In
Balance.
fact, why are there always so few new enemies in general? Witch Queen added 4, but it was more like 3. Moths were one of them, and then one of the each hive classes for the light. But they're only in
Honestly, I barely even
Witch
notice the
Queen
differences.
content. And in this time, it's even less. I mean, Tormentors are—
Also, when he says new, even that isn't really new. It's more just you took a Guardian, you reskinned it, and gave it an overlay of some of the hive aspects. Because a lot of the moves they did were just very similar basic level Guardian powers, just slightly reskinned for the Hive with some of their movement animations instead. So new is not even correct there. They're just taking the character model and making it an enemy.
Are amazing. Love Tormentors, but a shielded Cabal with a backpack and that's it? Like, games priced at $60 are entirely new games. New games have entirely new enemies too. Adding the Taken as a faction, the Taken King, then the Scorn and Forsaken is pretty great. New factions with intrigue, but 1 new enemy in a backpack? Hell, Mass Effect 3's multiplayer that I keep talking about added the Collectors. And not even just the Collectors for Mass Effect 2, a revamped, revisioned version of the Collectors for the 3rd game for free. And they also added the Cerberus Dragoon character for Cerberus and the Geth Bomber, the big deluxe edition of Lightfall, the $100 one for the entire year. I would say is for the most part somewhat defensible because the seasons are pretty solid. They have a ton of content, ton of new guns. They further the story. There are new dungeons.
If you're there for the story, though, it's literally you see it during the time period it's available and then it's lost media.
Legacy raid, etc., etc. For the most part, I don't hate the deluxe edition thing too much because a whole year's of content in MMO is a pretty solid amount of money. If you were to take it monthly, it would be under $10 a month. And I'm pretty okay with that. But $50 for a Lightfall, what we got here, what we got from the package of Lightfall itself, there's just not enough to justify all that. It feels anemic compared to the Witch Queen. What we get just doesn't have enough substantial meat to it. It's also why the story sticks out as so painful, because Destiny has good everything already. It has great gameplay. It has great visuals. It has great music. Everything that was already good in Destiny just got more of it. More good music, Strand, more fun areas to go to, more visually appealing stuff. We already were 9 out of 10 with this, but the thing you're lacking is your characters and story and overall narrative. And that was the thing you did really well with in Witch Queen, which is what.
So it's not even that they're doing horrible. Is that they're doing horrible in the one specific aspect they just proved they could do really well at. I forget who it was, but someone, I think it was either Microsoft or Bungie, gave a press release about how their design philosophy was to make sure not to give the players too much, because then they would expect you to be able to do it. So you always left them wanting. I'm pretty sure this was said before Witch Queen came out, so yeah.
Why it was such an insane expansion, because the one thing you were really struggling with, you nailed.
And then they got lazy.
Right back to struggling with it again. The thing is, though, the talk of price really doesn't matter to you, the viewer. Because when it comes to Destiny, you're in or you're not in. If you're in, like me, if it's your thing, if it's the game that you play all the time, if it's me, someone who plays it on my own time for fun, for relaxation, I am gonna buy even the shit expansions. I wouldn't call Lightfall shit, but you know, other ones were, because I'm
I mean, I brought it up. I have no excuse to react to that, but at the same time. Yeah.
I'm in, because this is the thing. I am in. I am part of this now. If you're out, you just don't really care. And if you were on the fence, you probably already made up your mind. The new raid is going to be out by the time this video is out. And the new raid is arguably one of the biggest parts of the entire experience. But it is still roughly a 1 hour to maybe 3 hour experience once a week. That's only if you run it on every single character. If not, it's like a 1 hour experience once a week. Hello.
Only an hour? I mean, I guess once you know the ins and outs of the mechanics after the first initial day of trying to beat it, it would be an hour, but why is he putting himself into hyper colorized, and just what did he even do to achieve this colorization? It's like he cranked up the red volumes, but also oversaturated to hell and back while cutting out the background? How?
Future Bricky here. I did the Root of Nightmares day 1 and unfortunately had a lot of internet issues and couldn't stream the whole thing, but on the first day we were able to finish up Encounter 1 and 2, and later on, unfortunately off camera, we finished off 3 and 4, making it my first ever day 1 completion. I really like the raid. It's fantastic. I think it's a lot of fun, has a good visual appearance to it. It's a bit too easy, would like some health bars to be bumped up a little bit, particularly Nezarec, but overall I think it's a fantastic raid for definitely new players. Kind of has a similar role to Deepstone Crypt, and I think that's a very good thing, and big thumbs up from Future.
Nice.
Okay, back to past Brick.
Okay, so basically Destiny did the thing Destiny does and build fun raids. Nice. That's just good. I like that. Yeah, nothing wrong there. Not even going to bitch about it. It's good to hear they did that part right. It definitely feels like Bungie is in really good shape on a technical level, but on a creative level, they're just kind of not. How does something even like that happen?
Despite all of my anger and annoyances, Destiny has its grip on my balls, and it's one of the few games I play for myself, on my own time, to relax. So I'm in. Whether you are, depends on your friends, your free time, and your enjoyment in grinding. Because at the end of the day, I love Destiny, but I don't love Lightfall. And honestly, I expected more. Thank you for watching, everyone. I appreciate it. Sorry it's a bit of a bummer type thing, but that's how it is. I try to be fair and honest with my opinions, and my opinions can be really hot takes sometimes, but they're still my takes. That's what it is.
So on the one hand, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I knew this was bad going in because I saw reviews of the story, and Bricky covered that, and it was as horrible as I thought it was. I just didn't get the exact details of how bad it was until we saw this, and it was like, oh yeah, it's bad. That's just, I like the story when it's good, and when it's not, it hurts more because, you know, they could do a really good story. They're just not doing it. But then everything else looked like it was really cool, and he was enjoying it and show why it was so good, and some of the cool designs, even if it wasn't all that new, some of it was super repetitive, but there was a lot of things going on that looked really great. It was Bungie at their best, just being good and competent and covering their bases of, okay, gameplay, good, quality of life, having loadouts, a lot of amazing aspects that changed. And frankly, if they had been in earlier, I would probably still not play because I just really don't have the time anymore, which is the biggest reason I quit, and everything else keeps me from reinstalling. But as someone who likes playing single player games the most, I love the story as my primary part of a game. I will deal with bad shit elements if the story is amazing. I don't like it, and it'll hurt my enjoyment of the game, but I'll try and suffer through it. It has to get egregious before I don't, and that's never really been a problem with Bungie. It just seems like they need to hire someone to write for them. Although the entire Cyrus being a bad voice actor aspect, I just wonder if he was like literally being told to phone in, or my speculation was accurate and he literally was phoning it in because their actual lines were not written for him. It does seem like something changed in the design process. I don't know when this was changed out. Maybe it was being planned at that stage. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a sudden rewrite. It wouldn't be the first time they've done that at the last minute. Yeah, it probably like the third time now I think about it. But I'm in a weird position where I'm happier than I was going in, but I'm still disappointed. So it's an improvement. I like it more than I thought it would. This didn't hurt as much as I thought it could. It's still, like I said, an effort of self-flagellation, showing how much something I paid way too much money for was not really worth it because I don't have time to engage with seasonal content. So all the things that would make it worthwhile if you were into that, I can't because it's just lost media for me. But also, the basic level of gameplay was fine. It was good. You could do it and it would be great. I have mixed feelings now. As before, where it was just, this is depressing, I don't want to deal with it. Now it's depressing, but I kind of want to try it again. But also, I know it's not going to be good. And things have come out since then that indicate that it's kind of a dead franchise, it looks like. They're just going to move on. Not in the sense that, I bit my tongue. Not in the sense that they're not abandoning Destiny or Destiny 2. It's more they're working on Destiny 3. Or what will just be a massive expansion in Destiny 2 that might be a functionally Destiny 3, but it's not. And I don't know which way it's going to go at this point. But the storyline is kind of... They're working on it. They delayed it because they want to work on it. And I don't know if that's because they actually want to fix up and make it really good, or some of the other issues they've had behind the scenes are catching up with them, and that might mean that it actually does just die. I'm hoping not, but also, I don't know. And things in the gaming industry right now are in such a state that that is not an impossibility. For example, Microsoft just killed off the guys between Hi-Fi Rush when they were making a sequel because, well, you only made 3 million sales with no marketing budget, small indie development, but at a level we were supporting, and there's not enough microtransactions here. Get on that. Or don't, because we're firing you. It's like just showing enough of the bones are still good, but the face is kind of rotting. And it's mixed feelings. I have very mixed feelings about this. If he's done anything else about this, covering any more about whatever is happening, I don't know, because this is still the most recent update, and it's been over a year, and nothing new has come out since then. It probably won't come out for a while. I'm not going to count any seasonal content, because again, I think that's just filler. But either way, I'm glad I saw this. I'm glad I got a more direct look at it. But I also kind of wish it just sucked flat out so I could put this behind me, as opposed to seeing that the thing I loved still has good elements. It's just the part I love the most. Because when it went well, it was great, and it's just not there anymore. Even though literally one expansion before, they proved they still had it. Have I mentioned I have mixed feelings about this? I'm sure I haven't by this point. I'm gonna just go, maybe watch a cat video or something. In the meantime, you guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Bricky did a great job breaking down a complicated mess of a game that has good and bad points, and I don't know how to feel about this other than just a sense of disappointment. Not anger anymore, not self-flagellation level, just disappointed that something that could be good and still has great points is not living up to what we know it can do, because it has relatively recently, even when he did this. Yeah, either way, I'll see you guys in the next one. If you know what I should check out next, let me know. I'll check it out. I'll see you guys then. Adios.